Welcome, welcome. Let's start with our opening prayer and then off we go. Oh, great spirit, Father, sky, Mother, earth, the winds, the waters, my father, my mother, Atanaha, all it is. We thank you for our lives and we thank you for these good people. We thank you for all that we are and all that we are to become. We dedicate our time spent together and our relationships with one another to you. We ask that our suffering be ended and our pain be lifted to the love and to the peace that lay beyond. Aho, amen, namaste. Okay, so what a week. What a week. Everything is shifting, everything is changing. The whole global climate is moving. So I'm here for you. The angels are here for you. Ask me anything. I'm really opening up the questions board to whatever it is that you are facing or struggling with. Just remember that I'm on a platform, so I can't see your name unless you click accept. You can sign your name underneath, and that makes it easier for me to tune in. Okay, Sachin is saying, good morning. Can I get a health reading? Yes, you can. Okay, let me have a look. Okay, so the message that you got is the Black Madonna. I transform pain and suffering into a greater capacity for love. How is my solitude serving me? The Black Madonna is the cauldron that holds us steadfastly as we endure the alchemy of integrating more soul into our existence. She is the promise that what doesn't serve us the fires of suffering, was never meant for us, and she is the presence that there is within us, even when we feel the most alone, reminding us that there is no darkness we can't enter without being met by love. So, when I'm dealing with illness in particular, pain in the mind is what becomes pain in the body. Suffering in the mind is what becomes long-term inflammation or chronic illness, right? And when we are doing healings, like particularly when I'm scanning you, and especially with this card saying loneliness, 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 right? And solitude, solitude, solitude. And there's a real feeling of not being safe to interact in the world, not feeling like people will be able to accept you for who you are, of having to be somebody else to be loved. And a lot of people say to me, what's the point of suffering? Suffering brings awareness, right? And the root of suffering is separation. And that's what happened a lot during the COVID, right? Separation in the community, separation in families, separation because people couldn't travel. And it created, people tend to isolate. It created this long-term isolation. People still aren't feeling quite safe traveling in case they get stuck in different countries, etc. They're still not quite sure, what the powers that be are going to do. It's starting to become a bit easier. People are still like, I'm not sure, stuck in that isolation. But suffering is supposed to bring awareness, right? So the places where we're stuck being alone, you want to look at why is it that you're creating aloneness. So it might be that you don't want people to see that you're in a toxic relationship. It might be that you don't want people to see how unhappy you truly are. It might be that you don't want people around, right? How is that working? So we're just going to bring in, okay, Archangel Azrael really strongly here. And I'm going to ask him to come in by chimney and just wrap your organs in this beautiful vanilla light. And just start to release the loneliness that I'm better off alone. I need to be alone. I like it better on my own. And this core of nobody understands me. Okay, that's starting to look a bit better. Jennifer's saying, hello, lovely. Would love some insight on inviting pleasure and joy into the body. Okay, let me have a look with Jennifer. Okay, so what they're showing me is that your solar plexus is like this, and your base chakra is also like this. I'm not sure if you're even experiencing lower back pain, but that's what they're showing me. And there's, like, when it comes to releasing pleasure, you are so dissociated from your body's capacity to experience pleasure that like they're showing me it's going to be, you're gonna need support. They're showing me that it's going to you're going to have to use some kind of body de whoop, ugh. You're going to have to use some kind of body de-armoring technique. So, tantric massage, or but it's gonna require like de-armoring, because you there's a real energy of you don't even. Okay, Edwin, stop calling me. Some silly person is calling me on Facebook, and it's coming up and disturbing our readings. Um, but long story short, guys, like what I'm picking up for you is that there's going to be a real there needs to be a real reconnection with the body, a very strong one, right? And you're going to need some kind of physical body de-armoring technique, because you are completely out of touch um with your sexual feelings. They're so controlled, they're so like compacted down, that it's like, even if you were lying down and somebody was touching you intimately, there's a numbness. So it's like you're going to have a completely safe space to do, sexual healing therapy, or sexual somatic therapy, so you can start to remember what happened and how it got so shut down. But there's a real belief that you women should not have sexual feelings, and that lust is like embarrassing. Like there's this mortification, humiliation that's going to need to be cleared for you to be able to reconnect with your sexuality, and real beliefs that like sexual pleasure and stuff is dangerous, that it will like turn you into a slut or things like that, which isn't true at all. But that's often what the programming that we get through religious abuse and also hookup culture, right? We're either like a virgin or a whore, which is very much what's going on in the collective consciousness, and is not the reality. For women to fully sexually express, we need safety, like the safety of divine masculine container, the safety of, being able to reproduce, the safety of being able to let our guard down. And that only happens in sacred relationship. That doesn't happen in hookup culture, right? There is no safety for women in hookup culture. There's no safety there. So women's bodies are hardwired for long-term deep relationship and connection. What they're showing me is you really need some kind of body de-armoring technique. You really do, because you're like there's a big wall between your heart and your womb, and your heart and your genitals, and it's a lot of humiliation and shame. But it's not like, like when somebody embarrasses you, get like waves of embarrassment over you. It's not like that. It's so shut down that when you're trying to tune into it, the energy is like squished, like tight tension. It's not like the emotion isn't even washing over you. It's just like locked. So you're going to need some kind of body de-armoring to help you release that, so that you can connect more with pleasure and joy inside your body. Permission to feel beautiful, permission to be sexual, permission to use that power. It's actually something I've tapped into within the last 2 years, and it actually only started getting healed for me when I was pregnant with my son, right? So but yeah, it's really the giving yourself permission to feel the feelings, and deal with the very strong emotions, the highly charged emotions that are around it. Okay, I'm going to bring in Mary Magdalene, actually, is coming in really strong for you. And so is Mother Mary. So we're going to bring them both in, and we're going to get them to just wrap themselves around your genitals, your womb, your sexuality, to facilitate you giving yourself space to awaken your sexuality. So women are the gatekeepers of reproduction, right? According to nature, we decide who gets to reproduce. We choose the male. So if you look at nature, the male bird builds the nest. The male wolf is a leader of the pack. But we decide who gets to pass on their genes. Okay? So from an ancestral perspective, we do that by choosing who we're the most attracted to, but we also do that logically based on who can take care of the offspring, right? Because contraception, etc., did not exist. So when you're doing like healings around sexuality, women have been taught that the man chooses, right? This is part of the breakdown of, like what they call the eradication or the erasure of women. Like they try and tell us that we have to prove to a guy. So it's like programs like The Bachelor and stuff like that. We have to get them to like us, and we have to use our feminine mystique. Whereas the whole of nature is geared towards men chasing women, and that's how it works. Okay. So when you go back into that energy, we choose, do I like this guy enough? Is he up to my standards? Does he meet the criteria? And the criteria is, can he provide mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, as a father, as a husband? So you're looking at very deep questions as opposed to, do I fancy him? And is he hot? Which is most of the conversation around, current cultural dating. But you're shifting into that energy of, instead of do they like me, to do I get pleasure from this? Does this feel good for me? Which is very different than what we were taught, which is the guy will choose and then we just have to endure whatever they will do. Right? So that's the abusive part. They choose me and then I have to endure whatever they want. Whereas when you're coming from a place of sexual healing, it's, does this person meet the requirements to create a safe masculine container? And then does connecting with them bring me emotional, spiritual, and physical pleasure? And then that's what allows a good, intimate connection to form, right? And to grow and to evolve. So we're just going to allow Mary Magdalene and Mother Mary to remove your obstacles to shifting from being chosen to choosing. Okay, there we go. Okay, Tana saying, morning, blessings. May I have a reading, milady? Of course you can. Let's have a quick card. Okay, so Saint of True Freedom. Love is what sets me free. I am married to my own soul. The message for you is, what holds me back from expressing my truth? Love is what sets me free. I am married to my own soul. The love makes us brave. The love that inspires us to poems and actions is divine love. So the laws that bind us to strict expectations of life don't actually apply to us. Love asks us to look at what really matters to us and at what we truly value. And love asks us to freely defy expectations in order to be our true selves. Love wants us to marry our own soul. So when I'm tuning into you with this card, what I'm getting is this energy of like discipline, but discipline coming from an energy of I'm not good enough, instead of discipline coming from um divinity, which is the discipline of prioritizing love's direction, prioritizing your divine right action, prioritizing what will create the most love in the world, instead of just doing what's on our task sheets or on our to-do lists. So oh, let's just release that. So prioritization and discipline, divine discipline, is about, like, for example, let's say my mission is to train and create medical intuitives who are spiritual teachers, right? To return sovereignty over healing to humanity. And when I look at that mission, that's how I make my calendar. That's how I lead my team. That's how I'm like, okay, is this a priority? Is this not a priority? Is this person a priority? Is this complaint a priority? Is this situation a priority? And if whatever I'm doing does not contribute to creating more medical intuitives and spiritual teachers on this earth, right? And helping them reach their greatest potential, then that's something I delegate either to a member of staff or to another spiritual teacher or to somebody whose mission it is. But that's how I make my priority list, right? And also, same thing with negative things. So something happens that I'm not expecting, like you guys know, we're having issues with people creating fraudulent accounts and things like that. And I'm like, okay, is this blocking people from becoming spiritual teachers? Yes, because it's creating a space where vulnerable people are taken advantage of, right? So then that goes on the priority as something we need to resolve ASAP. And I'm willing to invest time and money and energy to getting it to stop because it's blocking the purpose. Whereas a minor issue, like, whether when I have to have the accounts filled in or whatever, that's something I delegate to somebody else so that it frees me up to do my zone of genius or my like divine life purpose. So it's that energy of releasing right? Really releasing and doing what love tells you is the priority, and trusting. You guys know I'm dyslexic and dysgraphic. So for ages, I write copy and I write content, but I've been getting such guidance to focus on videos, focus on videos, focus on videos. And part of me is like, oh, no, I have to do all this other stuff. And my divine guidance is focus on videos, focus on videos, focusing on videos. And then we get a new social media suite that tracks when we get our most involvement. And it basically says focus on videos. So very often your divine guidance will be what is bringing you closer, right, to creating your mission on earth. But you have to allow yourself to trust it, and you have to get discipline to come from a place of, is my divine life purpose my priority, instead of, if I don't do all these things, then I'm not good enough, right? It has to come from, discipline should come from, is my divine life purpose a priority? And desire, right? Your desire should create your discipline. Your desire to be of service to humanity, your desire to create more love in the world and in your own life, your desire, right, to be at peace and to be happy and to be successful, not just on a financial basis, but in an emotional, spiritual level. Like, those are priorities, right? Health is one of the major priorities. So your discipline, right, should be in accordance to what your highest desire is, instead of what you want in this moment. Okay, instead of what you want in this moment, because that normally comes from a place of fear or numbing. Let's say you finish work and you want to jump onto Netflix, or you finish work and you just want to sit down and have a donut and some coffee, but your highest priority is health, right? Then you finish work and you go for a walk, and instead of having a donut, you have, what's it called? A raw vegan carrot cake, or you have a green juice, or you have a coconut latte. But you are moving into a place of nurturing yourself from a place of, health is my highest priority, right? Not numbing myself, not escaping my life, not shutting down my feelings, but health is my greatest priority, right? Let's say you're tired after a day with your kids, and you want, like, you want to numb, or you just want to switch off, right? But your highest priority is you being okay. And then, so instead you do a face mask and you run a bath and you do some yoga or some gentle exercise. You have to think about, what is my highest priority, not what do I want now. That's kind of the guidance that's coming through really strong for you, Tanya. Okay, Maria saying, hi Sky, can we please have some guidance regarding my current job? Should I accept the new conditions they've just imposed, or would it be more beneficial for me to leave this work? Let's see what the angels have to say. Oh, okay. The warrior saint. I'm a warrior of love. My devotion attracts resources and support. What am I committed to do with my entire being? I'm a warrior of love. My devotion attracts resources and support. Devote yourself fully to what's at hand, to what is in your heart, and to the strength, the support, and the courage to complete the task will rise to meet you. Maya is the warrior saint who reminds us to be fully devoted to what we love. Then courage isn't an effort. It isn't something we have to cultivate. Courage is what commitment to love bestows on us. So what I'm seeing when I'm scanning you is that you are, I would say, 90% likely to stay in the current job that you're in, because you haven't developed the devotion to your divine life purpose to shift away from what you're in. And what the angels are showing me is, there's no point switching from a job you don't like to another job you don't like. You may as well stay in this job. What the conversation they want me to have with you is, if you stay where you are and you are this unhappy where you are, in 5 years time, 10 years time, you'll be even more unhappy than you are now, but you'll be older and you'll have like another 10 years of reinforcement that you can't make money from what you love. You have to do it working for somebody else, right? So it's that energy of really switching into it's that energy of really switching into, is this what you want to do, or do you have the courage and devotion to switch into your divine life purpose? Because they're saying if it's just about switching jobs, then if I look at the two different timelines, it's not going to make you happier. You have a mission, and they're showing me quite strongly that you're a writer, like an author, you're a spiritual teacher. And they're going like, yeah, this isn't a job that you love. This isn't a job, like when I'm tuning into your heart, it's like, oh, it's like heavy. It's like another Monday morning, another Tuesday morning. I hate dealing with these people. It's so difficult doing this job. Like there's um a lot of like I'm wasting my life energy that's coming from you, and that's also never going to generate a job where you're appreciated, because like speaking as a boss, right, who has a team of 8, um I work really hard on my divine life purpose. And if somebody in my team isn't bringing that to the table, then I feel it, right? And I'm not going to promote people in my company or my organization that I don't feel are happy. Why would I promote them or give them a position of responsibility where they have to take care of other people if they're just going to leave? So it's really important that you understand that the energy you're coming into a company with defines how far you will progress and how trusted you are in the position that you put in and the opportunities that will come. So if you're going to stay in this current job, and you want to progress and you want to get more income, etc., you're going to have to release your resentment, right? And you're going to have to make peace with your decision to stay in a job, and with choosing safety. And there's nothing wrong with that. But what's wrong is that you constantly hating yourself and hating the job, right? If you're going to make a choice, own that choice. So let's take a minute. We're just going to bring in Archangel Michael. He's coming in really strong here. And we'll just vacuum you of all the resentment. Okay, that's looking a lot better. Kate Hodgson, just sending love to each and every one of you today. Ditto, my love. Ditto. Okay, here is saying, hi, can you do a reading for me? How's it going this week? What's the message for me for my married life and my professional life? Okay, let's see what the angels have for you, Hira. Ooh, the message is, what am I devoted to in this moment? Am I a love that doesn't leave? When I commit to love, my soul evolves. The goddess of devotion is your card. I am a love that doesn't leave. When I commit to love, my soul evolves. What is soft, gentle, and nurturing like water can be far more powerful than what is inflexible and fierce. The energy of this mountain goddess is about the strength that we can give and receive when we devote ourselves to the healthy bonds of love. Parvati is about the divine feminine potency of being calm and a benevolent presence, especially when something seems to threaten a deeply meaningful relationship. Transformation with this goddess calls for softening. When a situation is hard, even painful, Parvati is suggesting that you allow your fist to unfold. Open and release what is clenched in fear or stress. Remember that your love is a mountain that cannot be moved, and that this bond between you is holy. No human hand or words can ever break it. Wow. Remember that your love is a mountain that cannot be moved. I'm going to say that again. Remember that your love is a mountain that cannot be moved. Gosh, that's so goddamn beautiful. Sometimes the readings knock my socks off. Your love is a mountain that cannot be moved. So when I'm tuning into your angels, I'm actually getting the shadow angels coming in, which means that like there's shadow work involved here. And I'll give you an example. So radical honesty means that sometimes we are pretending, and that doesn't work energetically. So I'll give you an example. Let's say that you had the kids all day and that you're feeling like a single wife. Your partner isn't helping with the kids or with the house, and you feel like you're doing everything yourself, right? You're like a single wife. On the surface, your hubby asks you, "Are you okay? Is everything all right after the day?" And you're like, "Yeah, everything's fine," because you want to avoid an argument. But inside, you are fuming, you are angry, you are lonely, you are hurt. But you've just decided energetically that there's no point having any more conversations, right? And that you'd rather do it yourself than have to deal with the pain of doing it yourself and having an argument about doing it yourself. So, what you tell yourself is, I'm doing everything that I can to make the relationship work. But the reality is, you are pouring rage and anger into the relationship and you are no longer communicating, right? So now, whilst you're telling yourself, I'm doing everything to make the relationship work, the reality is you are now allowing it to atrophy and break down and you've stopped fighting for the relationship. So there's a big difference sometimes between the story that we tell ourselves in relationships and what's really going on energetically, emotionally, spiritually, and physically. Right. And that's what I know is happening when the shadow angels come in. And they used to come in a lot when I was reading Course in Miracles, when I was learning the difference between the game that my ego was actually playing versus the story that I was telling myself. Right. And that only comes from self-awareness, or like this really powerful divine light that shows you the gap between what's really going on versus um versus what we're telling ourselves, because we're afraid of the consequences of a choice we've already made, right? Um, so let's take a moment to help you. We're going to call in the angels of devotion to help you become devoted and to understand the power of your love, for you to start praying over your partner and start declaring, right? Declaring that you guys have an incredible marriage, declaring that you guys are able to heal through every conflict, declaring that your marriage is being made stronger in God every single day, declaring, right, that the situation is already healed and that God is moving the mountain that is in between you and your partner. It's moving into the space of praying over situations and declaring God in the face of your mountains, declaring love in the face of your monsters, and declaring it out loud, because only your voice has the vibration powerful enough to move your mountains and banish your monsters, right? So that you're being really called to stop hiding from yourself the effect that these traumas and situations have had on you, and to recognize that energetically you've kind of already gone over to the dark side. Energetically, you're already pouring anger into this relationship. You're already pouring pain into this relationship. You're already thinking, can I leave? Should I leave? And emotionally, you may have already left, right? But you're not conscious of it. And the creator is like calling you back to your marriage, calling you back to the things that um you not only said that you wanted, but dreams that you fought for, and being like, do you really want to let go this easy? Right? Or do you want to actually master the manifestation of the love you truly want? Because we think that, we think that the love ends with the entering of our soulmate or the marriage into the scene. And that's actually the beginning of the journey, not the end. But it's where all the videos end, right? But it's not where the reality ends. There we go. Okay, beautiful. Sarah is saying, hello, Sky. Can I have some advice regarding my health and what needs the most attention right now? Sarah, I'm immediately getting taken to your gut and I'm hearing the words like pancreatic enzymes, liver flush, pancreatic enzymes, liver flush. So they're really showing me that your liver is like messing with your hormones. You guys may not know this, but liver and thyroid function are actually really connected, and your capacity to create T3 and T4 is related to liver function. Believe it or not, it's your liver that turns T3, T2 into T3 and T4. So they're really showing me a lot of you are dealing with this. And thank you so much for this question, because they're really showing me so strongly that it's time for liver flushes now. It's time for taking pancreatic enzymes. It's time for the detoxes. Summer healthy bodies are made in the winter, like beautiful summer bodies, healthy ones that allow you to have the energy and the time to connect with your family and to explore the world. They are made now. This is the time where we're doing the detoxing. This is the time where we're doing our liver flushes. This is the time where we're doing our releasing of any excess weight and of negative habits that we formed around feeding ourselves poisonous foods or beverages. So we're just going to call Archangel Raphael in, because he's coming in super strong, and release that now. Oh, okay. Do we need to sing any messages for me from the angels? Let's have a look. Okay, so here we go. Empathy is the most mysterious transaction that the human soul can have, and it's accessible to all of us. But we have to give ourselves the opportunity to identify, to plunge ourselves in a story where we see the world from the bottom up or through another's eyes or heart. Empathy is mercy's twin sister, where we can feel into the reality of someone else's suffering. We open up to the possibility of mercy. Mercy comes from the old Etruscan word merc, which means exchange. Mercy is the embodiment of compassion. It can feel easy or even natural to have compassion for people who have never harmed us personally, but mercy is having compassion for somebody who has. Mercy requires that we give something of ourselves, which is symbolized through this exchange. It can feel like a great sacrifice to be so giving towards someone who has given us nothing but suffering. Here's where the mercy comes in. The law of the universe is merciful. The more we give, the more we receive. When the king realizes the profound act of mercy his daughter bestowed on him, she transformed into her true manifestation as the thousand-armed Kuan Yin. When we refuse to release our anger towards someone, we're blocking the flow of the universe within us. We're not harming the person who harmed us by remaining angry. We're keeping ourselves from receiving love and the light that is already ours. So I really found this, particularly in the most bitter moments of my marriage, that I was so angry at myself for staying that I couldn't send any love or compassion to myself. And that was blocking the entire situationship or marriage from healing. Right? So let's take a moment. If you are withholding love and compassion, mercy from yourself, right, and from your partner because you were so angry at yourself for staying and your mind is like stuck on the nothing's going to change, we're going to make a conscious effort here. We're going to let the angels do a push to reconnect you with yourself so that you start this process of unconditional love and compassion is not what's keeping you stuck in this space. I promise you that. So what happens is, particularly with very powerful spiritual healers and teachers, actually, let me just take a moment to witness this properly because I can feel some resistance from you guys coming through. Just trust me, trust your angels. Please stop being angry at yourself for staying in the toxic situation. Just stop it. It's part of the game your ego's playing with you. There we go. Let the mercy and the compassion flood through. Oh, okay. It's looking a lot better. And then, okay, so now they're asking me to explain before we move on. So, okay, so what the ego posits, right, is that if you love yourself and if you return to loving the person you're in relationship with, then you're just going to stay longer in this toxic situation and you're never going to leave. And it's the love that's keeping you stuck. Okay. The reality is, it also posits that there's no point talking about it. And I would agree with that. I think that most of our relationship problems are not communication problems. They are trauma problems, right? They're unconscious trauma problems. So that's what the ego posits. What the love mind, what the God mind posits is this, right? The reason you're both stuck in this relationship is because you both share a common wound. Both of you are refusing to look at the trauma, refusing to look at the wound. The excuses might be, I've already done a million inner child healings. I should just be able to get over it. There's no point looking at this because I've done a healing on it before and it hasn't moved, right? It's all their fault and it's got nothing to do with me. So all of these block us from having mercy and compassion towards ourselves and towards the other person. They stop the wound from healing, right? Because they put up walls in the face of God's love and healing. And they are arrogance, right? They stop us from learning anything from the situation because we think we already know it all. And then from this space, we are stuck in the relationship. And even if we leave this one, we end up in another one that looks exactly the same thing, different body, same problem, right? Different body, same wound. Why does this keep happening? Is God like a crazy torturer being? Is the universe against you? No. It keeps happening because this is the biggest block to your unhappiness, and you are praying for happiness. You are praying for love. You are praying for peace. And for that to manifest in your life, the fear has to go. The wound has to turn to wisdom, right? And that cannot happen from this place of I already know it all. And it also cannot happen from this place where we are withholding compassion from ourselves. Okay. And that's one of the things we go into in medical intuitive is rebuilding the relationship with yourself because so much of spirituality is releasing your anger towards your relationships to the people that hurt you and dealing with yourself, whether that inner self is yourself as a young woman or yourself as a child or um your ancestors or it doesn't matter if you when you have a situation there's a trauma it's you that you stop trusting. Look at this toxic relationship. This person is mistreating you badly and it's you that you hate, right? It's you that you don't like. It's you that you're beating up. So this is exactly what happens when you go through childhood trauma, right? You don't stop hating your mom. You don't stop loving your mom. You don't stop loving your dad. You stop loving yourself. You don't stop trusting the abuser, you stop trusting yourself. So it's really important to reconnect this, bring love back to yourself and stop this blocking unconditional love and compassion and the dialogue between you and yourself. There we go. Ooh. So, what actually happens when you start sending unconditional love and compassion to yourself again is that you develop the courage and the devotion to go back or to go in, right? To go within and heal the relationship with yourself. And when that happens, that's when everything changes. Either the relationship changes and the miracle occurs and the person changes miraculously, or you are able to finally move on to a healthy relationship because you will finally believe you deserve it. You will finally trust yourself enough to have boundaries and to say no to anybody that tries to come into your space or into your heart that doesn't have the same values, the compatibility, the respect that you deserve. But it's that relationship with yourself that changes everything, not the other person, not the trauma, your relationship with you. There we go. That's moving. Dear Sky, can you please help me to clear the deep fear of becoming an abuser? I worked on this in therapy, but the fear is still there. I have been sexually abused as a child. Many thanks. Okay, so let me do a quick scan. Okay, so I really recommend you working on this with somebody that does RTT or does medical intuitive technique, because what happens when we are abused is that there's a transference of the thoughts, the beliefs, the desires of the abuser, sometimes even the emotions of the abuser, like their rage, their beliefs onto us. Right? And this is where the fear, especially if they're the same family as us and the same DNA as us, that we're going to become the abuser comes from, is this act of transference, because that's why an abuser abuses. It's because when they are abusing for a moment or for a few hours after the act of abuse, they are able to empty all their emotions out of themselves and transfer them onto somebody else. Right? So they get relief from the pain, the same way that people get relief from the pain when they smoke a joint or when they take a pill. They get relief from expressing their feelings and it not being theirs, it being somebody else's, right? But then it gets transferred onto the person that was abused, and then we either internalize it and we start behaving like them or responding to them, or we are afraid of becoming them, right? Because we know we're still carrying their feelings on some level, and we can feel our desire to do to other people what they did to us. So in RTT, they go into this exercise called it's not me. This is not me. And that's one of the exercises that really helps you break enmeshment. So I'd recommend working with an RTT practitioner on that, so that you are saying to your abuser and to your inner child, this is not me. And you are also saying that I'm nothing like you, right? And that I am not you. So this disentanglement of the enmeshment and the transference, so that you can start feeling safe. Because the reality is that for most people, despite the abuse that they go through, they do not perpetrate it on others. The majority of people do not recreate their abuse, right? Um, the majority of people are able to break the pattern of what happens to them. And then there is, I'd say a 10 or 20% majority that are in so much pain, so much unconscious pain, that they have PTSD, and then they recreate the abuse that happened to them. And then they affect the other 20%. So it makes 40% of people being affected by the abuse, even though there's only 20% of people perpetrating the abuse. Okay. So I'd recommend really looking into this energy of separation from enmeshment and working with a practitioner that can go into disentangling your identity from the abuser's identity, which is what happens. Very often the abuser will say, like, whether they're an alcoholic or it's emotionally violent or sexually violent, you are just like me. You'll never be able to, like, you'll never be able to survive without me. Like, there's often these very strong commands for us to be like them or behave like them, or that we're similar to them, or maybe that we're the only person that understands them. There we go. Just start to release that and just separate the enmeshment and release the transference. So energetically, the command you want to make is, I now return all the energies that were transferred to me during the emotional abuse, the sexual abuse, the physical abuse. And then you want to go into some sort of inner dialogue technique, either with hypnosis or with medical intuitive technique or with therapy, this sort of inner, like Gestalt therapy also that uses inner dialogue techniques, so that you can separate your identity from the abuser identity. You can know it's not me, I'm never going to do what they did. There's not even a danger of that. But you can also energetically return all these feelings that were transferred onto you or that were enmeshed with you. Michelle saying, hi, Skylar. You look great. Thank you. I'm trying out a new makeup and I think it's really nice and soft. So I think I'm going to stick with it. I've really been doing a lot of healing on my own self-love. So I'm going to do a lot more nicer self-care rituals. Okay. Can I ask a reading? Thank you. Yes, let's do it. Oh, okay. This is about self-doubt. The moment I'm tuning into, they're showing me self-doubt, self-doubt, self-doubt. And the message that I'm getting is believe in yourself. Believe in yourself. So I'm fully human and fully divine. You got the Mary Magdalene card. Mary Magdalene embodies the capacity we have to merge with the soul and receive divine guidance through a love that never ends. Okay? So the question you have to ask yourself is, where has my love not yet reached? And the affirmation, the intention is, I am the bridge between heaven and earth. I'm fully human and fully divine. So I'm using the Divine Feminine Oracle card deck, and you got the Mary Magdalene card. And I'm getting so strongly, right, that you need to believe in yourself. Mary Magdalene represents the fierce, unwavering love that we all have access to within our own vulnerable hearts. It's a love that renders all things sacred, from the animals to the angels, from the poorest to the most powerful. It's a love that sees the inherent worth of all things, and it's a love that remains even through the darkest times, even through death. Her love is one that resurrects. So we talked about talking to your mountains instead of talking about them. You know, this energy of commanding the mountain to move through the power of God, this energy of praying over the mountains and using your own voice to declare that they are moving, to declare that they have no power, to declare that your love is the mountain, right? So we're just going to release all of this doubt, the belief that doubt is reality, the belief that doubt is like protecting you from failure, the release that there is a path that doesn't have challenges or doesn't have any suffering, right? These are all illusions. All paths have challenges, all paths have suffering. So you better choose what's worth facing challenges for, what's worth fighting for, what's worth standing for, what's worth living for. If you're going to have to fight battles, what is it? What is it that you feel? Okay. Gabrielle saying, Dear Sky, can I please have a card today? Yes, you can. Let's have a look. I trust the answers I find within me. I know that the presence of love is real. What does love feel like in my body? So, what I'm getting is that when you've been doing your scans and you've been doing your readings, that you've been focusing on where the trauma is instead of what love feels like in your body. So, you're being asked to really meditate on the presence of love inside your body. Invite God in through your crown chakra and allow God to wrap himself or herself or that white light into all of your cells, into your stem cells, into your blood, into your organs, into your chakras, into the very essence of your soul. What does love feel like in your body? What does love anchored feel like? What does it feel like to be in constant pleasure? That is what is coming up. There we go. Okay. Michaela is saying, Hi, Sky. Can I please have guidance on my financial situation? What is required to create a bigger shift to have more money in my life? Okay, so before I even pull a card, your angels are very loud and they're going visibility, visibility, visibility. You're hiding in the spiritual closet. Okay, you are really, really hiding in the spiritual closet. So let's take a moment to just release this energy of hiding so that people can find you, my darling. Okay, that's looking a lot better. So one of the things that I teach consistently, because so many spiritual people create the best courses and they are so good with like the majority of their clients. They have like a 99% success rate and they are really good at what they do, but they're terrible at sales. And they try and reinvent the wheel and they try and make it their own. And I think it's some sort of nasty, sleazy process, and they might talk about their programs or about their offer or their services once every 2 weeks or maybe once a month, and they don't understand what a disservice that is to humanity. Okay, so if you want to increase your income, I want you to talk about your offer at least 7 times a day, one time per chakra: base, sacral, solar plexus, heart, throat, third eye crown. Talk about it at least 7 times per day. And one in your social media post, one on TikTok, one on Instagram, some in your DMs, but start talking about your sessions every single day and what you offer should be on every single post, because you're thinking that you're like bombarding your audience and you don't understand social media, you don't understand the algorithm, you don't understand that maybe your audience is seeing your post once every 3 days and that it might not even be the post that explains what you do and that they've probably completely forgotten who you are, right? So most people overestimate their significance in the lives of their audience instead of and they overestimate instead of underestimating it. Okay, unless you're posting like 3, 4 times a day, your audience isn't even seeing you every day. If you're posting like once a week, they maybe see you once a month. So you have to be really clear. If somebody landed on your personal page today, would they know who you are, how you can help them, what you do, how much you charge? This is the basics, right? The basics of sales. And every single day, 7 times a day, I want you to start talking about your message. And I swear to God, if you do that, right? If you start talking about your service 7 times a day, once on your social, once on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, whatever, once on it, and then 3 or 4 times in your DMs to people that you're having a conversation with, you will be in shock over how much your income it skyrockets, right? But when I'm talking to the coaches that are making 6 figures, 7 figures, they're consistently, like you think 7 times a day is a lot, like they are consistently talking to between 10 to 20 people a day about their offers. And they do it all the time because they love and they are proud of what they do. So this is the toxic side of hiding, is that when you're hiding, you're waiting for your audience to validate you. You're waiting for them to give something to you, but you are the spiritual teacher. You came here to give your knowledge and wisdom to humanity. And for that to happen, you have to consistently communicate what you are doing. And that's one of the reasons why we teach marketing in medical intuitive, is because we've got role reversal down. It's not your audience's job to validate you, it's your job to connect with them and tell them how you can serve and who you are and how you heal. And it's very triggering in the beginning, but triggering is a way that we bring awareness to places where we haven't grown yet, right? We have to grow up spiritually, mentally, and emotionally. And part of growing up is being the lighthouse. What's the point of having a billion spiritual healers on the planet if nobody knows how to get help? And if nobody knows where you are because you're all underground, right? So let's just heal this energy of I'm hiding so that you can fully become visible. And so you stop worrying about what other people think. And it also takes the pressure off. If you're making your offer 7 times a day or 10 times a day, one person normally will respond in a positive manner. So you're not like, oh, I messaged one person and that's proof that because they didn't like it, that nobody else is going to like it. There's a whole world out there. There we go. Woof. Okay, it's looking a lot better. I'm going to do one more. Shirley is saying, hi Sky, can I please have a scan? I'm feeling very spacey and lightheaded. Blessings. Okay, so immediately I'm getting an Archangel Raphael and I'm hearing the word, what's it called? I can see the spice. It's like a red spice. Cayenne pepper. You know, cayenne pepper, cayenne pepper, cayenne pepper. You're having some, looks like you're having some sort of low blood pressure issue, and cayenne pepper is like the magic pill for sorting out circulatory problems. Let's just take a moment to bring that in. Oh, and please go and see a doctor if you're feeling lightheaded as well. Okay, you know I'm not allowed to give medical advice, but that's what I'm getting guided is cayenne pepper, and please, 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 make sure that you're seeing a doctor, make sure that you're getting the help that you need. That was quicker than I thought. Let's go to Leah Dixon. Hi, Sky. I get blue lips. I take iron, but wondering if it's still an oxygen issue. It's definitely an oxygen issue as well. Finding cardio harder to joy paint. Leah, so you're the same as Shirley. You guys are together. Cayenne pepper 3 times a day, and because it regulates circulatory problems. But you're also looking at oxygen depletion. So you want to get yourself an ozone box. You can get one for around 30 quid a second hand on eBay or Gumtree or something like that. And you want to start, you can also get oxygen pills to start oxygenating your body and doing breath work, things like Wim Hof, ice baths, to start moving the oxygen around. And you want to unlock your ileocecal valve. These are valves here. So I'm going to stand up so you can see them. Ooh, okay. So shut up and show you my tummy. So your ileocecal valve is here, 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 and here. And they're basically muscles that lock your poop from going from one part of your intestines to the other. And they're very connected to your vagus nerve. And your ileocecal valves being locked is not just a major source of constipation, but it's a major cause of autoimmune disease because it causes toxins to be packed into your body, and it lowers the amount of oxygen that can be absorbed into your bloodstream. So you need to literally Google how to release the ileocecal valve. And we need some liver flushes up in here as well. Gosh, it's been 4 liver flushes the angels have recommended today. There we go. So liver is all about divine power, right? It's all about being afraid of power, being afraid of your own power. And we've had a few people discuss how they were afraid of becoming the abuser. So there's a lot of we treat our leaders very badly. We treat the people in power in our society with so much toxic energy, and then we wonder why we only have toxic, crazy, sociopathic leaders. But it's constantly fix things, fix things, fix things, fix things. It's just what you should be able to do, and no gratitude, no recognition. It's really toxic. No respect. The way that we are treating our leaders is really dark. So it makes sense that nobody wants to be a leader, right? Because it's just you get things get harder, and people are much harder on you, and there's less recognition, and and a lot more jealousy. So let's just take a moment to release your fear of stepping into your power. Oh. Okay, that's looking a lot better. Okay, so I'm going to stop here with our I'm going to stop here and do our closing prayer. There are lots of phone calls streaming through for the next round of Medical Intuitive. So if you want to get in there before everything gets booked up, now is your chance. I thought we'd have more time. I thought we'd be like booking up in August, September, but it's starting to happen now. So if you're thinking about doing this with us in October, now is the time. Okay. O Great Spirit, Father Sky, Mother Earth, the winds, the waters, my Father, my Mother, Atanaha, all that is. We thank you for our lives, and we thank you for these good, good people. We thank you for all that we are and all that we are to become. We dedicate our time spent together and our relationships with one another to you. We ask that our suffering be ended and our pain be lifted to the love and to the peace that lay beyond. Aho, Amen, Namaste.